The Ravens finally got a win, and not just any win. It was dominant. It was needed. And it came with a whole lot of drama off the field that just won't seem to go away. On one hand, you had Tyler Huntley stepping up in a major way. On the other, the cloud hanging over the Lamar Jackson injury saga just keeps growing. And now it's starting to look like the Ravens could be in some serious hot water with the league. So let's get into it. The Baltimore Ravens took care of business against the Chicago Bears in Week 8, and they did it in all three phases of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. Every unit showed up and played their part. And sure, beating the Bears isn't exactly shocking, but considering the circumstances, this game meant a whole lot more than just what showed up on the scoreboard. It was a statement, a reset, a chance to stop the bleeding after a nightmare of a season so far. But the chaos off the field? That part is far from over. Let's talk about the elephant in the room first. Lamar Jackson's practice status, and what turned into a full-on media firestorm. On Friday, Lamar was listed as a full participant in practice. Normally, that's a good sign. It means a player is trending toward playing. But then Saturday morning rolls around, and reports start surfacing that Lamar actually took scout team reps. For anyone unfamiliar with NFL practice dynamics, taking scout team reps usually means one thing: you're not playing. And a few hours later, that's exactly what happened. The Ravens ruled Lamar Jackson out, downgraded his practice status from full to limited, and sent out a statement trying to clean up the mess. But the damage was already done. You had analysts, insiders, and fans all over the country raising eyebrows. The NFL injury report rules are clear. If a player doesn't take starter reps, no matter how many drills they go through, he's considered limited. It's been that way for a long time. So how did the Ravens, with a veteran head coach like John Harbaugh and an entire medical and PR staff, manage to screw this up? After the game, Harbaugh finally spoke out. And let's just say, the explanation didn't exactly help. According to Harbaugh, the status was pretty much the status all the way through, and they were simply holding out hope that Lamar could play. He said conversations were had, and the team felt playing 2 games in 5 days wasn't the right move for Lamar's health. Sounds reasonable on the surface. But then he also claimed he didn't know the specific injury report rules. That's where it starts to fall apart. John Harbaugh has been coaching in the NFL for nearly 2 decades. You mean to tell me he's unfamiliar with how practice participation gets reported? That's a hard sell. Whether it was a mistake or a calculated risk, either way, it looks bad. If it was a cover-up to gain a competitive edge, that's a violation. If it was just pure incompetence, that's still a violation. And that's the problem here. The Ravens don't come out of this looking good no matter how you slice it. The NFL's already looking into it, and the consequences could be serious. We're talking fines, draft pick penalties, maybe even suspensions if they find this was intentional. That might sound harsh, but the league has been trying to tighten up on injury report integrity ever since the betting world and fantasy sports became billion-dollar industries. There's too much money involved, too much at stake. Transparency is no longer optional. And in this case, the Ravens look anything but transparent. Harbaugh tried to deflect blame by pointing to the medical staff and PR team. He said it was an honest mistake. But again, these aren't rookies in the building. These are professionals who should know the rulebook forward and backward. And even if you believe Harbaugh's claim that there was no intent to deceive, the fact remains, it was sloppy. Very sloppy. And the league is going to have something to say about it. What's wild is that all of this happened in the middle of a bounce-back performance for the Ravens. With Lamar out, it was Tyler Huntley under center. And to his credit, he played like a man with something to prove. 17 completions on 22 attempts. 186 passing yards. 1 touchdown. Another 50-plus yards on the ground. He was poised. He was efficient. He ran the offense like a seasoned vet. And in doing so, he might have just saved the Ravens' season. Because coming into this game, Baltimore was spiraling. Between the injuries, the defensive struggles, the anonymous player gripes, and embarrassing losses at home, it felt like the wheels were about to fall off. But Huntley gave this team life. That win over Chicago might not erase everything that's gone wrong this season, but it changes the tone. It gives this team a fighting chance. Now, none of that means the Lamar situation is going away. Not by a long shot. He's still the franchise quarterback. He's still going to be asked about all this the moment he returns to the field. And the trust between him and the organization? That's now under the microscope again. This isn't the first time the Ravens have had sketchy timelines with injuries. It's not even the first time with Lamar. So naturally, people are wondering, what's really going on behind the scenes? Some folks have even thrown out the idea that the Ravens listed Lamar as full on Friday in hopes of pressuring him to play. And look, if that's true, that's a terrible look. No player should be pushed onto the field if they don't feel ready. And to be fair, everything about Lamar's demeanor during Sunday's game told a different story. He was engaged. He was on the sideline, hyping up teammates, smiling, locked into the game. That's not a guy who's checked out. That's not a guy who quit on his team. So the idea that Lamar bailed? Completely unfounded. But the trust issue still matters. It matters in the locker room. It matters in the front office. It matters to fans. If players feel like the team is mishandling injuries or not being honest about them publicly, that creates tension. And if the league finds out that any of this was intentional, the punishment won't just be about this one incident. It'll be about sending a message to every other team in the league. We've seen it before. The NFL doesn't mind making examples out of teams. Whether it's deflating footballs or botching injury reports, if they smell deception, they come down hard. And with what happened recently in the NBA, where player availability reporting has been under intense scrutiny, the NFL won't want to look like they're letting teams bend the rules. So here we are. The Ravens finally show up and play a complete game, and it gets overshadowed by yet another controversy. And make no mistake, this thing isn't over. There's an investigation now. There's pressure from the league. There are questions the team still hasn't answered. And the deeper you dig into it, the messier it looks. But the one silver lining in all of this, the team played like they still believe, like they still want to fight. And maybe, just maybe, that win over the Bears can be the moment where things finally start to turn around. Or maybe it's just a temporary high before the next headline drops. Either way, the Ravens are in the spotlight now, and not just for what happens on the field. What makes this whole situation even more frustrating is that it didn't need to happen. The rules are clear. The league spells them out in black and white. A player who's normally taking first-team reps but doesn't, due to a medical reason, is to be listed as a limited participant, even if they run every single drill on the field. That's not new. That's not complicated. So for a team like the Ravens, with a coaching staff and front office full of experienced personnel, to miss something this basic, it's either stunning incompetence or willful negligence, and both are bad. And let's not pretend this is just about one injury report. The NFL knows what's at stake when it comes to player status, and with the explosion of sports betting, fantasy football, and gambling partnerships everywhere, accuracy matters more than ever. The league doesn't just want teams to report injuries properly, they need them to. The integrity of the game is on the line. And when a high-profile team like Baltimore gets caught in something like this, it becomes a lightning rod for criticism. Now, some people will say, come on, it's just a practice report. But that's exactly the type of mindset the league is trying to wipe out. Because if one team gets away with being loose on the details, others will start to follow. And that's how you open the door to competitive imbalances, shady practices, and even potential manipulation of betting markets. So when John Harbaugh says it was just an honest mistake, maybe it was. But that doesn't mean the NFL is going to shrug and move on. Not this time. Mike Florio was one of the first to suggest the league might come down hard on Baltimore. And while Ravens fans and Florio don't usually get along, what he said wasn't wrong. This isn't just a paperwork error. This is an opportunity for the league to send a message. A fine. That's almost guaranteed. But if they find anything resembling intent, if there's even a whiff of deception, then we could be talking about the loss of a draft pick. And let's be real. If Baltimore loses a draft pick over this, heads are going to roll. That kind of mistake at the highest level of the game is unacceptable. Whether it was the medical team, PR, or someone else, someone will have to answer for it. And if the league feels like Baltimore tried to outsmart the system, you can bet the punishment won't be light. Because if they let this slide, other teams will take notes. And the NFL cannot afford to have that kind of precedent set, especially not now, when the league is under more scrutiny than ever. Let's be honest, this isn't the first time the Ravens have been in hot water over injury reporting. This is a pattern. Over the past few seasons, there have been several instances where Baltimore's timelines or public statements around player health have raised eyebrows. Whether it's players being listed one way and not playing, or showing up out of nowhere as healthy or unavailable, the consistency just hasn't been there. And when you start to connect the dots, you begin to wonder, How much of this is just sloppiness, and how much of it is the team trying to play the game behind the scenes? The Lamar Jackson situation only amplifies those concerns. He's the face of the franchise, the former MVP, and one of the most watched and analyzed players in the league. Any news about his status is going to grab national attention. So when the team says he's a full participant and then rules him out less than 24 hours later, it's going to raise questions. That's not just a minor adjustment. That's a headline. And the explanation didn't make things better. Harbaugh tried to say that the decision came down to Lamar not taking starter reps, and they adjusted accordingly. But that's not how the rules work. The designation should have been limited from the start. Whether Lamar went through the entire practice or not, he wasn't working with the first-team offense. That's what matters. And the fact that multiple league insiders immediately pointed out how obvious the rule is only adds to the frustration. The fallout from all of this could end up dragging through the rest of the season. Even if the punishment from the league takes weeks to come down, the questions are already here. Every time Harbaugh speaks to the media, someone's going to ask. Every time Lamar is in front of a camera, someone's going to bring it up. It doesn't go away overnight. And if the Ravens start losing again, this only gets worse. It becomes a bigger story. The tension builds. The sad part is, this whole conversation is overshadowing what should be a celebration of a team finding its rhythm again. Because the truth is, the Ravens played their most complete game of the season. Yes, it was the Bears, but it was a dominating performance. Tyler Huntley ran the offense like a pro. He made smart decisions, moved the ball efficiently, and most importantly, didn't make the kind of mistakes that have haunted this team all year. And then there's the defense. They came alive. From start to finish, they were aggressive, disciplined, and opportunistic. Nate Wiggins grabbed a key interception. Kyle Hamilton was flying around the field. Roquan Smith played like a man possessed in a revenge game against his former team. And for once, the Ravens didn't fall apart in the red zone. That's been a massive issue all season. But in this game, they held strong. They made stops. They finished plays. It looked like the kind of defense we all expected to see when the year started. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. Whispers are growing louder in Baltimore as rumors swirl around the locker room dynamics of the Ravens. The recent acquisition of a high-profile star has fans buzzing, but sources suggest not all is harmonious behind closed doors. According to insiders close to the team, the arrival of this marquee player has sparked tension among veterans, raising questions about chemistry and leadership within the squad. The speculation centers on how this new presence might be altering the established hierarchy. Some players reportedly feel their roles and influence are being overshadowed, while others are embracing the challenge, seeing it as an opportunity to elevate the team's profile. The divide isn't just in the locker room. Chatter among the fan base indicates a split between those thrilled by the signing and those wary of potential disruption. Social media threads have exploded with debates, memes, and heated takes, as supporters weigh the potential benefits against the risks of unrest. Coaching staff are said to be closely monitoring interactions, attempting to balance star power with team cohesion. Sources hint at subtle signs of friction, different training routines, whispered disagreements during practice, and a few terse exchanges on the field. Yet, despite the murmurings, some insiders stress that these are early days, and any real impact on performance may be premature to judge. Analysts point out that high-profile acquisitions often come with a period of adjustment. Integrating a dominant personality into a tightly knit locker room is rarely seamless. But history has shown that teams can overcome initial friction if communication remains strong and leadership steps up. For the Ravens, the challenge now is finding a way to harness the talent of their new star without alienating those who helped build the team's identity. As the season approaches, all eyes are on Baltimore. Will this rumored rift fizzle out once the lights hit the stadium? Or are we witnessing the early stages of a locker room shakeup? Either way, the intrigue is undeniable, and Ravens fans can't help but watch closely, caught between excitement and apprehension as the drama unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.